Aloha. The purpose of this video is to introduce function notation, why we have it, and how we can use it. Function notation basically exists when you substitute the y in your equation for f of x. And the reason why we do this is for a notation. Um, it's one way of notating that we have a function. Another reason why we do this is because it gives us a chance to name our functions. And there may be a time when you deal with more than one function. So here you could have a function f of x, a function g of x, or h of x. You could even have a function donkey of x. Just whatever's in front of this parenthesis x, that's how we name our function. So this is like function Fred, George, and Harry, and pretty soon we got the whole Harry Potter gang. Yippee. So if I were to ask you to find something like g of 2, for example, you wouldn't be using Fred's function for that. You wouldn't be using Harry's function. You'd be using George's function. It's a way for you to identify which function you want to look at. So here is a function. We can call this one Fred again if you want. Suppose f of x is negative 2x plus 3. Right off the bat, if you get uncomfortable with that, you can just rewrite that f of x as a y. It's the same thing. So this is y equals negative 2x plus 3. And here's how we use it. Your mission is to find like f of negative 1. First of all, we should know that this means to find y when x equals negative 1. That's our goal. What is y? This is y when x is replaced with a negative 1. So this is saying go into function Fred. Here he is. Replace the x with negative 1. And what happens? Well, f of negative 1 is substituting in, plugging in parentheses into that equation. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So what we get is f of negative 1 is equal to 5. What that means in terms of the world is when x is negative 1, y ends up being 5. That's your relation right there. And if you wanted to, you could graph that up on the board. So finding f of 2, well, that's the same thing as what we're going to do before. It's saying use function Fred and replace the x with a 2. So if you want to keep it as f of 2, you can do that. Otherwise, you can switch it to a y, and it's the same thing. But it's at a specific spot where the x is 2. So this ends up being negative 4 plus 3, which is negative 1. So what that means, again, is when x is 2, y is negative 1. Now this thing should hopefully look familiar. This is a line. This is y equals mx plus b. So here, the b, you could have started right here, and you go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, or else backwards, you can go up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1. And that's what that line would look like. For the last one, I kind of switched it up, and this is going to happen from time to time. There'll be a video later on that we're going to have to switch it up. So this is backwards, right? So this thing basically says, find x when y is 3. Oops. Because we said that f of x and y are the same thing. So if we go up to our function, now we're typing in for a y, the 3 is negative 2x plus 3. And we can go backwards and solve for x. First step would be to subtract our 3. We get 0 equals negative 2x. And 0 is just a number, that's fine. We're still trying to solve for x. We're going to divide by negative 2. And 0 divided by negative 2 is still 0. So what we just did was now we found that the x is 0. That correlates to a y value being 3. And that is this guy right there. So function notation, it's good for when you have multiple functions. It tells you which function you're looking at. And anytime the inside is replaced, that's replacing with an x. Otherwise, if the whole thing is being replaced, that's replacing with a y. Your mission is to complete page 12. When you get done, check it over with your neighbor and or raise your hand and we'll come check it out. Thank you.